You're doing great, Mary.
Welcome. Already getting people. Yay, hello, Anne. Hey, everybody. Hi. Welcome. Can everybody hear us okay? Can everybody see us okay? Can you guys see us all right? Yes. Thank you. Hi, Pat. Hi, Laura. Good to see you guys. We're going to give everybody a couple of minutes to come on. We made some changes from yesterday. So
Technical changes.
Some technical changes. We had a little bit of, I don't want to say technical difficulty, but we're getting used to this system.
Yep.
How many of you were here yesterday? Give us a thumbs up if you were here yesterday as well.
Ooh, yes.
All right,
4,
wonderful.
5. Glad that you came back.
Ooh, we're so glad to have you again. Again, we're going to give it just a couple of minutes. Don't forget that you can type your questions in the Q&A. So you can pop up Q&A. That's where your questions get recorded. So we will be answering a lot of those on Friday. So
We need to be prepared for those questions as well. So please let us know what they are.
absolutely. So if you could also, if somebody, one of you, could please type a question to make sure that we can see them. We actually have a screen in front of us instead of like right.
So we're not
in front of us.
looking down so much.
Yeah. So can somebody type in the Q&A to make sure that it's working? All right, I'm gonna hop over.
Working, but we can't read it.
Yeah, I can't read that. We can read the chat. So let's see.
All right.
Beth wants to know how we are today. How's the weather?
It's cold. It's still cold. I wanted to go back into the 70s and 80s of Florida. It's 72 out there. Well, it's not 72 in here. Inside it's cooler. But maybe that's my nerves still, because you know I am a little nervous again today.
So let me ask you to read some of the questions because we can't
Sure.
read those.
Wow. Where is everybody from? Ooh, EDR is from Virginia Beach.
All right,
It's
so
cold there.
now we see that we've got questions coming in. So chat goes in the chat, questions in the questions.
Minnesota, Virgin Islands. All right. Concord, New Hampshire. Ooh, Michigan. These are really coming at me fast. Kansas. Let's see, Michigan. Oh, it's in the 50s where somebody is. That's cool. Rochester, New York. That's just west of where I used to be. And the capital district of New York.
Leave that one. Leave that one.
Someone in Florida, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Vegas. All right, look at everybody joining us today. Thank you all for joining us again today, or welcome if this is the first day with you. I am Mary, one of the co-hosts. Karis is taking care of some of our technical things off on the side here.
So Beth, Beth, I don't want to mess up your name, but Beth J wants to explain where the Q&A is located, and you got it in the right place because that's where her question came in, was in the Q&A. So you're right there. And Cindy wants us to explain about community, and we're going to do that today as well. We're going to give it one more minute. Barbara wants to know if we address what kind of thread to use yesterday. We did not.
But guess what, Barbara? We're going to be talking about thread today. There's only so much we can do in 1 hour. But today we have a few things to chat about. It's rainy in South Carolina. So you can read out some of the questions.
Do you want me to read that?
No, not yet.
Oh, someone couldn't get into the community last night. Well, we will be addressing that and how to go through
Okay.
that today.
All right, so it is about 1:35-ish. So we're gonna go ahead and get started today. So the first thing we want to do is thank you guys for popping in yesterday. It was a great time. We got really good feedback from so many of you. We have a lot of questions that we'll be answering again on Friday, and some of them that we answered already during the recorded session or during our live that is then recorded and then posted. So I think what we're gonna do first is we're gonna do a little bit of housekeeping.
Well, let's tell them who we are.
Oh,
Just
oh
in
my
case
gosh.
they were with us yesterday, we should introduce ourselves.
Hey, everybody, I'm Karis.
And I'm Mary.
Thank you for that.
And we want to welcome you to Before the First Stitch.
Absolutely. So definitely welcome to the workshop. Today is day 2. We've got 3 more days after today. I do want to give a shout out to Cassidy, who is behind the camera today, and a shout out to Michelle, who is behind the
The questions and
the
answers.
Q&As, so that
We're not nervous again today.
we are still a little bit nervous. So she will help us go through some of the questions. We will probably not be able to answer all of the questions, but that's what Friday is for. Mary, what are we going to talk about today?
So today we're going to be talking about the 3 most important things that you want to consider after you've cleaned up your machine, because that's what we were talking about yesterday. You've got that machine ready to go. Maybe you've chosen your pattern that you want to make, but now you're ready. You want to decide what needle you're going to use, the thread you're going to use, but most importantly, what fabrics are you going to use on your bag?
Yep. So Mary is going to be doing quite a bit of talking about the fabric. I'm letting you know that. We've got some show and tell explaining the use of our fabrics, and then I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty about needles and thread. But before that, I want to do, like I said, a little bit of housekeeping. There were some questions that were raised, and I do see a comment from Rita that she's having a little bit of feedback. I'm assuming that's in your speaker. Is anybody else having feedback, or can you hear us okay? Thumbs up if you can hear us all right. Give me a no problem, something like that. We're doing okay with feedback. That goes in the chat. So Linda's having a little bit of feedback. Yes, feedback-ish echo.
Okay.
We have 16-foot ceilings in this room. So you might get a little bit of feedback. Are we talking too loudly? No problem, no problem. Okay, so most of you are hearing us okay. I apologize if there is an issue. A lot of questions on how do we access the recordings. I am going to show you that as soon as I double check through, everything seems to be okay. What I'm going to do now is it is a little different today, Cindy. We've switched our speakers up a little bit. Also, we don't have the laptop right in front of us. So
That could be
that's the echo.
extra echo because it's bouncing off the ceiling and down.
Okay. And then tomorrow we'll probably do something different. I have a microphone that I've never used before, that we haven't used, and that may help too. So you guys are getting to see us at our most vulnerable and rawest moment because we've never done this before. So we're really grateful that you've been hanging out with us. All right, so I'm gonna hop over to the computer and I wanna share my computer screen and show you exactly where to find some of the things we've gotten questions about. So give me a second and I'm gonna hop right on over to the computer. And hopefully you can hear me. Mary, you'll let me know if they can hear me.
I will. Dorothy, no worries about missing yesterday. We will be showing you how you can access yesterday's live video in a few minutes as Kara shares her screen with you. And this is for anybody else who just wants to go back and hear our little talk from yesterday.
All right, so can everybody see my screen? Give us a thumbs up. If you can see a screen, there should be a picture of Mary and I.
You're getting thumbs up.
Am I getting thumbs up?
Yeah.
All right. So there are 4 of us here and one of us can see all the thumbs up. So you guys are looking at my screen. And what I'm showing you is an email that you guys get every single day. One at 12:05 a.m. and then another one an hour before we begin. So what I want you to see is right below the photograph are links in this email. You can submit your questions. So if your question isn't getting answered or you have a special question for us on Friday, you can click on the submit question button right here. The next button is the live workshop. That is the link that gets you into the webinar room where you are right now. So it's the same link every day. We made it really easy, but it is here posted for you every day. The next button is the workshop replays. When you click the workshop replays, you are taken to this page that says Bag Bootcamp Modern Sewist at the top. Again, you can submit workshop questions from here. You can get on the Bag Bootcamp waiting list, of course. You can join our community, which I'm going to discuss in just a moment. And then here are all of the replays. And then if you've misplaced your handy guide, we've tried to make it so easy for you guys to have it in multiple spots. Here's another link to go get that handy guide. So when you click on the workshop replay, and we do it at the end of each day, so there's just one so far, it's going to take you over to YouTube. You have to have the link because we don't have this public on our YouTube channel. It's just for you guys, just for our workshop attendees. All right, so that's how you are going to get to the workshop, to the replay. So again, every email has all 4 links, all the things that are important for you to know during and even after the workshop. So in each email, you see exactly what we're going to be talking about, another link to join the community if you haven't done that, a little blurb on what we're going to cover, more places to submit questions, et cetera, et cetera. So we try and make the links available in multiple places. Any questions on that? Are there any questions on the email? Okay. All right, so I don't see any questions coming in. Didn't realize they're live links. Yeah, Debbie, they are live links. And Faith wanted to know, is this a Zoom type where we do not see all the attendees? That is correct. It's a webinar as opposed to a typical Zoom meeting. So you don't see the attendees. All right, I am going, yeah, you guys can probably all see that. Now let's close that up. Hang on. I've stopped sharing my screen. Let me go back to share it one more time.
Time to share the community.
Time to share the community. So what we've done is we have created a community on Kajabi. Kajabi is a platform. You do not have to download anything. You just need to join. So from your email, you can go to join the mini workshop community. And this is what you get. There's Mary and I once again. You can see it's free. We talk a little bit about the community. All we need from you is your name and an email address. That's it. Now, I'm already in the community, so I don't need to do this once again. But once I've joined the community, let me go to my community. Hang on one moment. I have a library. And I am going to go into my community. So I've set up my own, I've set up kind of a dummy account. So obviously you see the picture of me because I am the community owner. But what I'm seeing right now, and what you guys are seeing on my screen, is what is inside of the community. You can see right now we have 239 people in the community. Off to the left-hand side is our community. If you click on that, on the left-hand side where it says mini workshop, this is what you get. This is home. And it's set up like a feed. So you can go through and see all of the comments, and there's a bunch of them. If you want to see who's in the community, you can find sewists. Here's a list of everybody. There's a leaderboard. There's Miss Michelle. Michelle is on the leaderboard, and you get points for being active in the community. So Michelle's been talking to a lot of people in the community and responding and whatnot. Michelle, as a staff member of the Modern Sewist, unfortunately isn't eligible for prizes. But she's
That's bananas.
That's bananas. So we want you to be active, and there will probably be something for some of the people that are really, really active in the community. So I'm going to go back home. If I click on home, you can see challenges. So the challenge that I've posted so far is to just introduce yourself. And if you click on the introductions, you can see all the people that are, there's Kitty Cat, that's Missy. You can see all of the people that have introduced themselves. And we, of course, encourage pictures. It's not necessary. You can comment back and forth. You can give a like. In this community, it's called Inspired. Same kind of thing as a like. So all of these folks have taken that challenge. If you would like to join the challenge yourself, you can simply choose join. You can show more. You can see, what is this challenge all about? We just want to know more about you. All right. And then you can join the challenge. Now, one of the things that we really are enjoying are the meetups. So you can click on meetup, and you can see there was a meetup last night at 6 p.m. There, right here, there's going to be another meetup tonight at 6 p.m. in this community. So I'm just going to go live. It's not Zoom, it's in our mini workshop community. Again, you don't have to download any software, you just join. And at 6 o'clock, we're going to go into the live room and we're going to chat. We had about 22 people there last night. I'm going to be answering some questions and just having a little casual hangout. So, any questions at all about community, about replays, about emails? Eastern time. Yes, Jill, everything is Eastern time. we're in Florida, so it's all going to be Eastern time. I sound far away from the mic, but more echo. Yes, that's true. Okay, great help. Hi, Jackie Manning. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Mary, you're on camera, dear.
Hi, how is everyone? I hope you found that very helpful. I hope you'll join Karis tonight in the living room. I unfortunately have another meeting and can't attend, but maybe you'll join me tomorrow night. Because I think we'll have them every night this week, right around 6 o'clock. And I know it's around dinner time, but maybe you can, I know I'm gonna get my husband to rearrange when dinner is, just so that I can make these 6 o'clocks. Because you know, I don't cook. I sew bags. So what do we all want to know? We want to know about fabric, right? What's the most popular fabric that we use to make bags? It's cotton. Look at the bags around me. They're made out of cotton. It is, oh, it's so soft. It is soft, it's lovely. It is one of the easiest fabrics that we can manipulate in our sewing machine. Someone loves Tula, absolutely. Another cotton bag. Notice that this particular bag is paired with cork, another substrate. Quilting cotton usually works on the outside. Most of the insides or linings of our bags are paired with quilting cotton as well. I'm gonna pop on back in here. Okay, you can help because I have notes. Well, you weren't fast enough.
I wasn't fast enough. I'm sorry about that.
Well, did you want to add something before I continue diving deeper into fabric?
I think we should. So,
what is it?
well, you know that what, Michelle?
Waxer Canvas has 2 questions.
All right,
we'll get there.
We'll get to
Hang on.
questions, absolutely. Do you hear an intermittent beeping? Yes, we are, we are in the shop. Unfortunately, we don't have a filming studio. We would love to do that.
There's
So
the door.
That's our door opening. So we're open at the shop today. We're on a private side, but yes, we do have that beeping. I apologize for that. Every time I have a replay or something I'm editing and there's a beep at home, my dogs go nuts. So what I wanted to talk about real quickly is a little bit about the questions you guys have been asking us through that survey. And again, thank you so much. Sorry, we're laughing at faith. We see that you took down your smoke detectors. You might want to go put those back on. In any case, so we had 4 commonly asked questions with regards to fabric, and that's one of the reasons we're doing a little deeper dive into the fabrics today in the workshop. So the number 1 question was, what is the best fabric to use for bag making? And Mary's going to cover a lot of that, but what I want to say is quality fabric. It doesn't matter if you're using wax canvas or cork or cotton, make sure it's quality because not all fabrics are created equal. One example is cork, and when we get to that, I'm going to talk about the differences in quality on cork. The second question is, what do I use and when? So our recommendation is always to start, especially if you're new to bag making, make sure that you use the recommendation that the pattern designer states. I know when I was actively designing bag patterns, at the time I had 30 pattern testers. And so I would give each of them different fabrics to choose from. And so they gave me the feedback on what worked best for that pattern. Some patterns you really can't use a heavier substrate because it's small and fiddly. So it really is going to have to do with what the pattern designer is suggesting. So start there until you're comfortable with the fabric that you're using. And then after that, feel free to experiment. And then on number 3, the third question was pairing with a stabilizer. How do I know what stabilizer to use? And again, we're going to defer to the pattern designers. Use the stabilizer that they recommend, but stay tuned for tomorrow because Mary has a whole session devoted just to stabilizers. So that was number 3. And number 4, how do I handle heavy fabric and bulk? So Mary again is going to address some of that during her talk tomorrow. But if you follow some of the principles that we laid out yesterday, make sure that your sewing machine is in good working order, make sure it is maintained on a regular basis, and make sure you always start every project with a new needle. Believe it or not, that is going to help you with the bulk. There are tips and tricks that we dive into. Actually, in Bag Boot Camp, we go through a whole lesson on dealing with bulk, but there are tools like a thingamajig or a jump humper or a height compensation tool. There are tools to help you get up and over the bulk. So, Mary, I want you to go back and talk about the fabric, but I wanted them to know the questions that have been asked and really kind of why we are going through what we're going.
That was all very valuable because we have the pattern. We've decided maybe we know what our thread is. We think we know what needle to use. We're going to make just a simple pouch, and we have cotton for the outside, we have cotton for the inside, and we're, yes, I know, I gotta look, I'm looking at my fabric. We're ready to go. But maybe you follow the pattern as it's written. You've gotten through the first one, but you've now decided that you want to try a different fabric. Do you want to take that same pattern and try the wax canvas? Does the same stabilizers apply in a wax canvas as I used with the cotton? The answer is no. I have homework for tomorrow, stay tuned. All right, here I have the same pattern, a little bit smaller, no, same size, okay. Quilted, this is linen. Also, very similar in nature, will work with the same way. Okay, so I'm gonna get very scattered, but I'm gonna try to stay on task. These are all the same bag, using different substrates. Cotton, it can be made in cork. Where's a piece of cork? Here's a piece of cork. I'm gonna have to Karis talk about cork in a minute when I'm not talking.
Absolutely.
Right. So this bag can be done with cork. Let's go to vinyl. We can do, look at these 3. They're all very similar. They're not all the same pattern, but cork, cotton, vinyl. This is or pleather, vegan leather, what do you want to call it? They're all going to work in the same nature. You might even look at the top of these and say, they all have different zippers. You're right, we've got a matted zipper, we've got a number 3 zipper, we've got a number 5 zipper. That means we've got to have a conversation about zippers. Tomorrow, I'm gonna save some stuff for tomorrow. All of this different bulk. Every time you work with bulk, you work with stabilizers, you want to figure out, how do I get rid of the bulk? It's not as difficult as you might think. It's a matter of grading the seams or actually just trimming away some of the stabilizer. Especially if you're working with a stabilizer, and I'll talk more detail tomorrow. These are made with Soft and Stable, which is a foam. All you have to do is take your scissors and trim it at an angle, and it'll take away the bulk. That's just one way to trim away bulk. Let's move on. wax canvas. This is the Santel sling. We've got the pattern. The pattern is gonna call for just a regular canvas fabric. I wanna use wax canvas. Why? Because I like the durability of wax canvas over regular canvas. Well, here's regular canvas. I have made this bag in regular canvas. It's on the other side of the shop. With the canvas, a cotton canvas, I need more stabilizer. With a wax canvas, I don't need the stabilizer on the wax canvas. In fact, I don't need any. This will have more durability and a different feel than when I put my stabilizers and pair it with my cotton canvas. Can I make this same bag with regular cotton? Absolutely. Can I pair it with different stabilizers? Absolutely. You will decide as the maker how you want to make that bag. But as previously mentioned, following the pattern as it is written the first time around is always good. That gives you a feel of what the pattern writer is saying. Not every pattern writer is equal. They all have their own way of writing the pattern, using their own language. Canvas is great for bags. I like using canvas a lot. Many of my bags are made out of canvas, and I pair it with different stabilizers. So we've got canvas. Generally, my interiors are made with cotton or a cotton linen. On the wall behind us, you probably can see the cotton canvas with the redwood toe. That is one of our projects in Bag Boot Camp, ladies and gentlemen. We might have a few there. Other pattern writers have different language skills. So you want to, when reading those patterns, make sure that you understand what they're saying before you tackle what you need to do personally as you begin those patterns. Other fabrics. Let's see what else we have. This is our pleather, our vegan leather, our vinyl, whatever you want. Again, we want to be careful. Make sure that what you have on the interior is of good quality. Some will say you don't have to interface this. Some will say yes. It all depends upon how much stretch the particular fabric has. And with this one, you can see maybe there's a little pull to it. So I might recommend, depending on what the pattern is, whether or not I would interface it. Something small like this did not get interfaced. What did get interfaced was the lining. All right, let's see. What else do we have? What else do we have? We have pretty vinyls. We have sparkly vinyl. We have clear vinyl. What do we use vinyl for? Maybe we're making a project bag. We're going off, and as you can see with this one right here, it is clear. I want to see what's inside my project bag. This could be made with clear vinyl. You can certainly make it with pretty colored vinyl, or you could change it up and put mesh in the front. This vinyl will restrict your objects just a little bit, whereas your mesh will allow more flexibility when you place it in pockets and other items. 1 second, I'm gonna go grab something over here. Just a little quick bag with mesh in the front. I can stuff a whole lot of stuff in a mesh pocket. Another bag has both mesh and vinyl. This one is much more restrictive with this pocket because I can't put a whole lot in it. Grab one more over here. This one is made up of both style. I've got vinyl on one side and I've got mesh on the other. Made out of quilting cotton. Some bags, again, you want to think about what does the pattern recommend. some bags are better with regular quilting cotton and not the canvas or wax canvas or even pleather. I'm making a mess in front of myself here. All right, something else. We all love our wallets. We've got several wallets over here that I'm gonna grab. Cotton, the perfect wallet.
Who designed that, Mary?
One of mine that I wrote, all made of cotton, but it doesn't have to be made of cotton. It could be made of cork and cotton on the inside. Whoops, something fell out. It wasn't money though, darn. Or the whole thing can be made of cotton. You know what? I've never made it out of vegan leather. Maybe that's a challenge I give to myself. All of your fabrics, you decide what is your pattern. What outcome do you want? Once you've chosen that fabric, we're going to talk about the needles and the thread in a few minutes. What's the outcome? Your biggest question is, what's my stabilizer? How do I pair those stabilizers with my fabric and the pattern that I've chosen? I'm not going to say, tomorrow I'll spend the time doing that. And I even have a little homework exercise for you that is going to change your life, because it changed mine the first time I ever did it. I can't tell you how many years ago when I started doing this little exercise for folks. So that's my little helper on fabrics. You can see, oh, wax canvas. I almost forgot. They're so pretty over here. You've got to make a bag out of wax canvas. All right. I could keep talking, but I think I better wrap it up. Let Karis take over, talk about threads and needles. All right. And I guess she wants to talk about wax canvas, and she's going to tell you a little bit more. See, I'm making a total mess about cork. All right, Karis, your turn. I'll try to make this pretty again.
Awesome, Mary. I love the show and tell. Thank you so much. So I hope you guys learned a little bit more just about the fabric. And I know Mary talks quite a bit about stabilizer and interfacing. And tomorrow she is really going to go into that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the newer substrates that we are seeing in bag making and how you can prepare for a good, successful outcome by the needles that you choose. So let's talk a little bit. Wow, you did.
I made a mess.
I know. You've covered up all my needles. All right. So let's talk a little bit about cork and a little bit about the waxed canvas. And also, one of my favorites is laminated cotton. And I don't think Mary got to that. And look at this great,
I'm so sorry, I forgot.
this is, I think this is a
Boot Camp
3 design.
Written by me, because you know I
Yes.
needed to travel, carry everything in it.
All right, so we're not going to show off too much of this, but this is a laminated cotton. And there are a couple things I want to talk about with laminated cotton. Remember, I talked about quality. So when I first started making bags, I saw laminated cotton and I saw the price. And I'm like, holy heck, there is no way I can afford the laminated cotton. So I went to a local shop before, I had one here, and I got some iron-on vinyl. And I thought, this is great. I'm gonna iron on to the cotton, the quilting cotton that I want, and I'm going to use that. So what ended up happening with that, and what I discovered, is that my iron only gets so hot, and it doesn't have a complete surface that I can press down on. So with the laminated cotton that I could buy from somebody that manufactures it, is they've got a whole manufacturing process whereby they have a standard temperature, much hotter than my iron gets. And they have these gigantic presses that press everything equally across the surface. So you don't get that vinyl peeling off. Now, can I iron on vinyl and use it? Absolutely. But is it going to have the durability that I would like for something to be able to be used long term? I found that it didn't. So again, if you want to use laminated cotton, which we use in garments for raincoats, we use it for umbrellas, but we use these for something that's easy to wipe on and wipe off. I have a demo on using the laminated cotton with ripstop nylon on the inside, as many cosmetic bags have. So that's laminated cotton. Another substrate that we are absolutely loving is waxed canvas. And you can see we've got rolls of all of this stuff behind me. The waxed canvas, like everything else, comes in different grades and different quality. So it's really nice to be able to touch and feel and know what the canvas is like. But what I recommend, if you don't have the ability to go in and touch and feel, look at the weight of your waxed canvas. The same thing holds true for any other type of heavy canvas. If you are looking for something really heavy and durable, I would say between an 8 or a 10 ounce, that's per square inch, is going to be a heavier product. So here we actually have 4 different types of waxed canvas, with one of them being very light, and we use that in one of our patterns for a DOP kit in Bag Boot Camp. And then we have one that is much heavier and very durable that we use for other bags. So that's a little bit about the waxed canvas. You don't iron on them because heat, wax, melting. So we cover a little bit more about waxed canvas. I actually have a PDF that I think I'll send the PDF. Oh, you know what? It may be included in the Bag Making Basics handy guide. If not, I'll send a PDF out along with another little tutorial that Mary has on one of her favorite feet that she talked about yesterday. So you're going to get a couple of little extras in your email tonight, so look for that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was cork. And did it fall?
It's buried in there somewhere.
The green cork, did it fall on the ground? Did I bury it? Here it is, it's underneath me. All right, so last bit of fabric that I want to talk about is cork. And cork came out, well, it's been around forever because wine bottles and corks, cork board, cork floors, etc. Just a little know-how of cork. One of the reasons that we really enjoy using cork is it's different. It's colorful, it's durable, but it's also sustainable. So the cork, whether it's cork for your wine bottles, cork fabric, comes from a cork tree. Most of the trees, believe it or not, are in Portugal. So hence why this pouch is called the Porto pouch, because it uses cork that we get from Portugal. What they do is they shade those trees. Those trees can live to be over 200 years. So every 9 years, the cork tree regenerates and produces more cork. So again, it's sustainable, it's life-giving. That tree gives over and over and over again. So there is less of a carbon footprint, if you will, when you're using cork. So it's a really nice product. But again, like everything else, there are different qualities. So the cork that we use has a fabric backing. It makes it very nice because you don't necessarily need to interface the back of the cork. it's already there for you. Now, when the cork fabric first came out, it was backed with a PVC lining, and you will still find cork with PVC out in the market. And what we find happening with the PVC backing is that it's not as supple. It doesn't have that same appearance. It cracks a little bit more. You'll have lines in it. It's difficult to iron. You can actually iron on this cork that has the fabric backing. I was just given the 5-minute warning by Michelle, so I know I need to wrap this up pretty quickly. So the cork fabric, again, is really nice, and you can get it in natural, all different colors. There's a lot of printed cork out there. It's one of the substrates that, again, we use in Bag Boot Camp. Needles and thread. Yes.
There's a question, is laminated cotton like oilcloth?
Is laminated cotton like oilcloth? They are two different things. The oilcloth tends to be a little bit thicker, and it isn't as smooth, and it doesn't give. It's a different process. So I think what we're going to do as we're wrapping it up is I will address the questions. Again, we're going to take all of these questions and we are going to go through a lot of them on Friday. So look for those answers on Friday. If there's anything that comes up over and over again, I'll make sure to address it in an email. So last but not least, your needles and your thread. And again, look in your bag making basics handy guide because we outline all of this. Your needles, we use in and recommend in your bag making. My #1 needle, and I know for Mary also, is the Microtex or Sharps needle. And I know you can't see this in my hand from where the camera is. I'm just holding it up. So the Microtex needle, and also known as Sharps, has a very sharp needle, as the name indicates, and it is going to certainly be your best needle for things like your wax canvas, for your cork, and for some of the heavier substrates. If what it doesn't work well with is something like Craftex, which we actually didn't get to. We don't have any Craftex out on the table, but you have to be a little bit more careful with the Craftex because you can perforate it and then it can rip. So you need to be careful with that. Always test things out. Take a little piece of fabric before you make any changes. Test it with your needle, test it with the thread you plan on using it, the stitch length you plan on using. Test, test, test. Don't do a bag like this not knowing what stitch length, needle, presser foot. If it's the first time that you're using laminated cotton, you want to test everything because you don't want to use all that beautiful fabric and then find that it's not the best needle for the job and have to redo that. So this is our #1 needle, the Microtex. You may also want to use a jeans or denim needle when you're using a lot of layers and heavy canvas. So we've got jeans and denim needles. There are also leather needles. A top stitch needle is really nice. Typically a top stitch needle is going to have a higher number. So let's quickly talk about the numbers. On needles, you're going to see usually 2 numbers. The package that I'm holding in my hand right now says 130/705. The second number is usually the European number. So it's the 130 that we're looking for. The higher the number, the larger the eye of the needle. So the top stitch needle is 130 because typically when we top stitch, we might want to use a thicker weight thread so that it pops and has a different finish. but you can't use an eye that is too small. So make sure that if you're top stitching with a thicker thread, you want to use a top stitching needle. Typically, we use either an 80 or a 90 needle. That is kind of the, if not a top stitching needle. So the numbers that I'm looking at are either a 90-14 or an 80-12. That 14, that 12, that is European sizing. The 80 and 90 is US sizing. And then the other needle that is really fun to try and use, if you've never used one before, is a twin needle. So if you want to get a double row of stitching, a lot of garment sewers use the double needle to get that bottom, like the bottom of a hem. It's also great for top stitching on your bags. Lastly, I want to talk about the thread. Oh, question. So on the thread, we typically, and I'm going to move stuff around, there we go. On the thread, we'll talk about the thread weight. So the thread weight is different than the needle size. So the larger the number on your thread, the thinner and smaller it is. So typically, Mary and I use either 50 weight cotton thread or 40 weight polyester thread. Those are really kind of the standard of threads that we use. The rule of thumb is if you're using cotton fabric, you want to use cotton thread. If you're using polyester fabric, you're going to use polyester thread. Test, 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 see what you like. I have Aurifil thread. My sewing machine likes Aurifil thread because it's low lint and they are color coded. You probably can't see that, but I've got an orange spool, which indicates to me that it's 50 weight. I've got a green spool, which is 40 weight. And then I have a gray spool, which is 28 weight. And I will use this spool of thread for top stitching with my 130 top stitching needle. This is cotton. Polyester typically has a little bit of a sheen to it. It's used for embroidery as well as for bag making. Usually starts at a 40 weight and is really nice also for top stitching. It's another great thread for you to use with your synthetic fabrics. So there's polyester. I love using a variegated thread. These are isocord 40 weight variegated threads. So those are fun. Another thread is text weight. So what text weight thread is, typically it is used by the industrial bag makers that use those commercial machines that stitch with leather and whatnot. The text weight is another way of measuring the thickness of the thread, and it's measured in grams. So for example, and Mary, correct me if I get it backwards, if 1,000 meters of thread weighs 30 grams, then your text weight is 30. So the heavier the thread, the heavier the text weight. And what the industrial sewists like about it is it actually is a more accurate measurement of the thread itself, because it's actually based on the weight and not the size, which is based on the ply. So text weight thread, again, the higher the thread weight, the higher the text weight. And with that, we found that it's more difficult to get text weight thread here on the East Coast than it is on the West Coast. So most of our bags, certainly that we sew, we use the Aurifil weights and then the polyester weights. That's what I have to talk about on thread. And Mary is coming back because she has something to say.
I do, and I bet you're trying to look through that handy guide for everything that we're talking about here today, right? And you're saying, well, wait a minute, this handy guide doesn't say anything about needles. You're right, it doesn't, because it's in Bag Boot Camp 1.
That's right.
We've left a few things for you to find after you join us in Bag Boot Camp 1, along with a lot more information in Bag Boot Camp 1.
All right.
Just so you know, there is more to
All
bag
of it,
making
yeah.
than just this handy guide. This is just before the first stitch. This is just to get you hooked, to have you join us in our journey of Bag Boot Camp.
Right. So I think we have run over time. I want to respect the fact that we did say it would be about an hour.
It's 2:25.
Oh, that's not too bad. So, there is one last thing I forgot.
I'm here. A lot of you have been saying, I'm here, who you are. We want you to do that again today. Tell us who you are, because we want to give you prizes.
So in the chat right now, we want you to say, I'm here with your name. I'm here, perfect. Look at that, that's fabulous.
All right.
The reason we're asking you to do that is, in spite of the fact that we do get an attendee list, if it doesn't have your name, it's going to be hard to award a prize to iPad user.
And some of the ones we were looking at for yesterday's attendees, we saw Mary. And I'm like, I'm Mary, but I wasn't. I was in front of the camera being really nervous.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. So we do need your first and last name. So we really appreciate you taking the time to tell us who you are. Thank you very much.
Whew.
Oh
We
my
will be back tomorrow. You don't want to miss tomorrow. Well, we don't want you to miss any day, but tomorrow Mary has her #1 bag making tip. Number 1, top of the list. She's going to give you a homework exercise. Our boot camp alumni did this exercise, and like it changed Mary's life, it changed theirs as well. Because before the first stitch, you have decisions to make. And before you can make those decisions, the knowledge that you gain from Mary's exercise tomorrow will help make the outcome much smoother. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are doing another live in the community. If for some reason you're struggling getting into the community, even after we've shown the links, it's possible you're having problems. We understand that technology has always, we struggle sometimes. So for anybody struggling with anything, please email us, info@bagbootcamp.com. Couldn't be any easier, info@bagbootcamp.com. Tomorrow, we're talking about interfacing, we're talking about zippers. We'll probably dive a little bit into hardware. We have
from
a
1:30 to 2:30
Eastern time.
Exactly where we are today. Now, let me share. Thursday, we're not meeting because I'm teaching right here in this classroom with a sold-out class.
Yay! So we're taking a break on Thursday, and then we'll be here Friday doing all the Q&A. And then on Saturday, we're going to be talking about patterns, reading patterns, modifications, and we're going to take you behind the scenes of Bag Boot Camp, where all of our workshop attendees are going to get a special price if you are going to join us in Bag Boot Camp. So I hope to see you a lot tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time in the
Community.
living room in the community. All right.
Living room, yes.
Phew.
Living
All right,
room
we are
community.
so happy you guys
Thank
joined
you.
us.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Bye.